The phone off, rather. All right. Live down here at the bar, and our very own local Master Distiller winner, Pete Cheney, stops by, and we got the new red corn on the bar, and we couldn't help ourselves.
We had to try.
Had to pop it.
Had to jump in.
Yeah, no, Pete let me try this a couple weeks back, and how like velvety this is, like we're talking across the palate.
Right.
Is I think you hit it spot on. Hit a home run with this one for sure. So
good. Yeah.
But yeah.
I think so.
But well, thank you, Pete, for coming down. I know this is the first time. I know Tommy's been down here once or twice, popped in for a couple quick pours or whatever, with Amanda and my wife being such good friends. So
absolutely.
Yep, they're running back and forth with stuff. But so for the folks at home that might not know some of your background, your story, everything like that, let the folks know who you are.
All right. So I'll try to condense it. So I own a funeral home in Phelps. That's my main job. And I started off making wine, which took too long. I'm not patient. And then a fella asked me about making grappa. So I made some grappa. I said, "What's grappa?" He said to me, "It's Concord grape wine that you run through a still." Okay. I go, "Does it taste like grape?" He goes, "Absolutely." So I had plenty of Concord grape wine, bought a little 1-gallon water distiller, converted it to a still. I made grappa.
Yep.
Worst stuff I've ever had in my life.
I think I've had it, Ethos or something. I think
it
was one of those wineries down there in Seneca did that or something.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
But the process of distilling, I'm like, holy cow. Like I can literally ferment something and have it done in a week. Mm-hmm. And that's what, like, I was hooked. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing it I did it for about 27 years illegally.
I got some of your first batch down there without a label.
Probably, yep.
Yeah, got hooked up with a batch of it.
Third year legally. So it's been fun, man. I mean, just when you really think about the distillation and like who thought of that, to ferment something, run it through a still and come out with a product and then
boil it and catch it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when you really think about it, every day when I run the still, I literally think to myself every day, like, this is crazy. Like, who thought of this?
Right.
So, anyways, then I went on Master Distiller. It's funny because it was about 8:30 on a Saturday, and I said to my wife, I go, because I belong to a lot of moonshine groups, I go, honey, these guys want to know about Master Distiller, send your information. Mm-hmm. So I sent it to them on a Saturday night at 8:30. At Monday morning at 8 o'clock, phone was ringing. Hey, we want you on the show. So I did that and went down and filmed in December of 2019. Ended up winning with the 4-grain, which is a clear. It's not oaked. And here we are.
Yeah.
So it's been fun.
Yeah. Quick nutshell of the last 27 years.
There you go. That was pretty quick.
But no. So the red corn, that's pretty new for you. That was your first run with a red corn.
It is. So I had a what's called Jimmy Red out of down in South Carolina, and I was intrigued by the red corn. So I actually bought some. My nephew tried to grow it. It's 110-day growing, but the problem was, that year was a drought year, so we had zero rain, zero water. It came up about maybe 3.5, 4 feet, but it didn't ear. So I've been chasing this for a while.
Gotcha.
And then I just got my hands. So my malt guy called me. He's like, "Hey, I got some malted red corn for you." I'm like, "Hell yeah!" So, so I did the malted red corn. I did naked oats because that'll give you the mouthfeel, soft mouthfeel. And then I did the triticale, which I love triticale, which is a hybrid grain of wheat and rye. And, it gives you a little bit of that bite, but not overwhelming. Mm-hmm. You got that wheat, which is smooth, the oats, which is smooth. And
Yeah.
It's good, man.
Comes into that finished product.
Absolutely.
And the thing with this one is if you like that corn sweetness, and it's a different corn sweetness too.
Yes.
This red really kind of showcases that.
It does.
As a whole with that. And if you like that corn feel, this is right up your alley.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So when I malt this, so it's malted, and when I process to make it, this red corn really was totally different than any corn I've ever had.
Okay.
In the process of distilling. And I was like, holy cow, like you could just tell that it was going to be something special.
Gotcha.
And you got to make sure you got the right, you can throw any grains at it, but to me, like naked oats. So when I thought of that, I was like, I want to use naked oats for the mouthfeel, a soft mouthfeel. But I wanted the triticale to add that.
That's kind of your thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of your signature grain that you like using.
I do.
Yeah.
I love it.
Right.
It's good.
Right. I like using it in a pinch with my food plots, actually.
Right.
When I can't get my hands on, wheat or something like that. It's a really hardy, good grain.
It's a great cover crop.
It is?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So farmers laugh at me. They're like, dude, you're using triticale? Like, that stuff is shit.
Yeah, usually they're tilling it right under in the spring after it covers up. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's fun, man.
Yeah,
it's good.
Absolutely. And I got to come down the day we tasted this. It was, I don't know, maybe 10 days or whatever into the beginning of the process.
Right.
And it's come when I say velvet, like it just flows nice velvet, over the palate. And it's amazing, what you can do and the dedication you have to the craft to be able to bring that product to the table for folks.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
But yeah, so like I said, I had a couple questions that came in from folks with stuff like that. Big thing that you guys got coming up is this Saturday is your anniversary party at the distillery.
Yep.
3 years. Opened in the peak of COVID.
Yep. We did.
Yep. I remember it was snowing and everything, and you guys were working on the bar top before you even made the Outback and the back bar and all that.
Yep.
But so what's some of the, I guess, highlights for the anniversary party?
So obviously the red corn release is big. We've got great music that day. So we start off with Tom Chamberlain, who's awesome. And then Frog Hollow, which is Tim O'Hara and his buddy. And they're just freaking great. And then we finish up with, at the end of the night, Flint Creek.
Yep.
With what is it, Ben and John?
Gotcha.
So
the 2-piece.
Yeah. So they're awesome. So music will be great. We've got Bumble's Barbecue. They'll be there. And
Jimmy.
It'll be great.
Jimmy always makes good
Jimmy's
food too.
Good, man. He's good.
Yeah.
Molasses cookies.
Oh yeah. Molasses cookies and his barbecue is always spot on.
Yep.
But
so yeah, I mean it'll be a great day. I mean, and look, at the end of the day, it's about the people, right? Yeah. And I realize that, and I truly take that in, because without the people that love the products, we wouldn't be there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a great local community. Love how you've built out from, like I said, and obviously, like I said, your daughter-in-law and my wife are big time friends, so I'm there a lot. And the way you guys have grown that into the back bar and the Outback and all that stuff, it's such a good community atmosphere.
It is.
In downtown in the Phelps Triangle or whatever everybody calls it down there with Crafties and wine bar and everything.
They're like, we had no idea. Like, they see this in Phelps. Like, once you get inside the doors, it's like, holy cow. Like, who knew?
Right.
It's great. And people are great. We have no issues. I mean, everybody's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And you guys, and that's the one thing that some people complain about. It's like, well, they're not open all that late. It's like, well, nothing good happens after midnight usually. Exactly.
Yeah. So we try to keep winery hours, man.
Yeah.
That's what we always said. Winery hours, that way, we're and we always say ish. So like if we're open till 5-ish, if people come in at 4:50, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can do a tasting round or something.
We're not going to leave. I mean, but we don't want to be that like bar atmosphere where
Yeah.
at 8:00 at night, everybody's coming in after being out. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Other places or whatever.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So
No, understandable.
but
Everybody's having a good time, but in moderation.
exactly.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep.
So we have a great following. I mean, our Bloody Mary following is off the cuff. You
Yeah,
know?
the Sunday crowd.
So,
Yep.
It's good.
Unfortunately, Bills dropped it this last weekend, but you know, but yeah. So,
yeah.
and you guys, so for your normal operating hours, no, you have your anniversary party, but like your normal operating hours are Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep. Just
Okay.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a ton of it's kind of funny. Like people go out on the wine trail and they're like, "We're tired of wine." They Google. Up comes Smokin Tails. We get a ton of people from the wine trail.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and the thing is like we're small, but we are the largest flavored moonshine producer in New York State.
No kidding.
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty big statement.
Yep. No,
you know
absolutely.
I mean?
Absolutely.
Because not everybody, when you come in, like, you've gone to tastings before.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You try them. It's like hot. It burns. It's too high proof, right? And so people want to come in. They want to try something. They want it to be smooth and easy to drink without the burn.
Right.
And I mean, that's what, honestly, that's our mainstay.
Right. It's the bread and butter with it. Yep.
It is.
But I love how you're expanding the portfolio because you're trying to make that next product.
Right.
Your passion drives that next product.
Correct.
To bring it to the table.
Yeah.
And that's where I love where you're going with like the Sportsman Reserve. I'm more the cast strength guy myself.
Right.
Of the Sportsman's Reserve stuff. And that's kind of where my palate fits in with it.
Right.
But the fact that, like you said, people that are going on typically on the tours, the tastings, they want that atmosphere and that experience with it. They don't want something that's like, because I tell it to people all the time down here. It's like, do you drink, stuff neat?
Right.
No? Okay. We might pick something different off the shelf for you.
Right.
Versus just, dropping something 114 proof on their head.
Right.
But, but yeah, no, that's a great thing is your portfolio is expanding to fit kind of all those different people that come in the door.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And we have a great, so we have this rye that it's an heirloom rye, and it's hard. Like I have 20, like people don't understand about what we do, right? Mm-hmm. So my process is different from a big distiller.
Right.
Everything I do is I'm hands-on. Mm-hmm. It's got to be pressed. Like when I run my still, because I'm using electric, I can't have any solids going to the still. So it takes a lot to press out the liquid and separate the grain. So I ferment what they call off the grain. I don't ferment on the grain. And so we have this heirloom rye, and I just did it. So 250 gallons produces like 7 gallons, right?
Right.
But I got 24 hours and just pressing
to
it
make
out
that,
before I even run the still.
Right.
And it is tough. It's a lot of work. It's physical. It kicks my butt. But it's such a great product. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that'll be out soon as well. That'll be my third run on that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've had the heirloom before.
Yeah. And it doesn't have that. It's so different. Like it doesn't have that bite. It's a completely different flavor than any other rye.
Right. Right. Not as bitey not as bitey or like as spicy of a rye or whatever.
Correct.
As some folks kind of relate it to with it.
Yep.
But we've been sitting here jawing. I want to
keep drinking, man. You're good.
Put a little nose to it. Yep. And like I said, if you let that sit for a little bit, this thing just gets so soft on the nose.
Like, yeah, it's crazy.
It's got that nice sweetness.
Yep.
That nice. Like I said, it's that grist milly. When I first had it, I come right back to it.
Right.
That it's got that nice ground grain sweet flavor to it on the nose.
So, the difference is that everything I do is malted grains. So this is literally a triple malt. It's malted red corn, malted naked oats, and malted triticale. So you have more of that. So a lot of your bigger distillers, what they'll do is use raw grains, and then they'll add like an alpha amylase, glucoamylase to try to convert those starches into fermentable sugars without getting real crazy, right? If you use malted grains, which are more expensive, you don't have to use any of that. So it's all natural.
Using the natural breakdown of the product and the grain that you're using.
Yep.
To make that.
That has a lot to do with the flavor and what you're getting out of it. So I just want to be different, man.
Yeah. And if you, like you said, people that are bourbon drinkers or whatever, you know, we talked about this before we came on the show. You got to put it in a barrel. You got to put it in the rack house, set it up for 10, 12 years. The more you get into enjoying these spirits, even if it's rum, tequilas, other different spirits, the more you want that little bit of off-profile stuff. You want to try something different. You're looking for that next piece of it.
Yep.
You know, and I think that's where this is a great fit. Like this, like I've said, this doesn't taste like, you know, Indiana MGP, or Kentucky stuff. It's and it's not New York stuff. Well,
it is New York, but it's different.
It's an off little twist of New York. It doesn't quite, you know, fit that same New York profile. So raisin is one I get with New York stuff, and I don't get raisin with your stuff. You know, for whatever reason, whether that's part of the process, you know. Yeah. But as a whole, like New York stuff just kind of gets raisiny to me.
Right.
And I don't know why. Maybe it's
a lot of it's
water.
Cuts. A lot of it's cuts. No, so like they talk about Kentucky limestone, right? That water, it's got, yes, it has minerals in it, but when you distill, like those don't come through.
Right.
I mean, if you really understand the distillation process,
because alcohol is going to evaporate sooner.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're just pulling off the alcohol. So I think most of it has to do with, you know, what type of grains you're using, multi-grains, and the cuts. So a lot of people, so when I do it, I have a 3 process. I don't go by, let's say, a scientific cut. I do it more on like a feel.
Yep.
So I know
a proof and a feel, and
right. I know when. So when I'm going, I know when I'm in my heads. I know when I'm going to get in the hearts. I know when I'm in the tails.
Right.
So I cut everything at a certain proof, and then I'm done. I don't ever run past that.
Right.
Because if you're running tails, which a lot of distillers will say, well, that's where you get your flavor from. It can be different every time.
Right.
So every mash is different. It's never the same. Grains are different, you know.
Different harvest year.
Everything is different. So if you go on a scientific cut, it's always going to be different. Right. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I go by feel. I do more of, I'm forgetting the word right now, but so I have 3 different things I do. I check it first by smell, then I check the second one by a feel, and then I do a taste. And when I know I'm out of the bad stuff, then I'll collect.
Gotcha.
Then I go right down to this proof, and when I'm done, that's it. I don't go any further. That's it. And that way it stays consistent all the time.
Right.
You know,
as consistent as you can make it.
As consistent, but growing season, everything could be different. So,
different fields, different batches, different whatever. And people, if you are in it long enough and understand that, and that's why a lot more folks, once they're in the spirit scene or whatever, they might be going off of, and we talk about these marketing terms, small batch or different things. The only thing that's really a true unique character is like a single barreled product or a single run product or something like that. Other than that, we talked about it. It could come from distillery XYZ. They dump 1,000 barrels in a batch.
Right.
It's all going to taste the same. Yeah. Because it's all the same
why
batch.
do you blend?
Right.
Why do you blend?
Mm-hmm.
They blend because this barrel was no good.
Yep.
That one was a little better.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
But not quite what we wanted for this or that.
Correct.
Yep.
So if you're making good cuts
Mm-hmm.
and you're running the still properly, like everything I make could be single barrel,
right?
Select, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
unless you could run your words on it and make it marketed out.
It's all marketing, man.
Yep.
You know, so had you know, there's so many different things. Like I had a guy that my malt guy was like, I want to do 100% Triple. I go, fine, I'll do it. So I did it. Made a kind of a fun label, called it single batch special reserve, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean?
Whiskey, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you like when you start distilling and you understand the inside of what distilling actually is, that's when you really start to understand about bourbon. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. So we had a couple comments come in. Nate says loves the Sunday Bloody Marys down there. Absolutely. Just trying to, catch up on a couple of these. Actually, that's why I got to open up the phone.
All right.
I'm still learning my new software for the podcast.
Yep.
Steve Bogart, guy I went to high school with, says, yo, he's a big bourbon guy. One of my, not high school, but little league baseball coaches says, love talking whiskey with Pete. Mike Davis.
Yep.
Says, Coach Ben and played ball with Pete. I didn't know you played with Mike.
Yeah, man.
No kidding.
Yeah,
small world.
Yep. Skeets. Yeah, buddy.
Love watching this. But yeah, no, just the cool kind of connections of that small world.
Absolutely. I mean,
and that's what I love about like the whiskey community too. Like we were talking about John, who's a mutual friend of ours.
Right.
He helps you kind of weed out a little bit on the proof with this, and I think it's right there without like playing around with it even more. But I think it's, and I even when we tried it, I think 10 days ago, I said, I don't think you need to knock it down. I said, I think that carries its own, and it's got its own unique line that it's running, and that fits that product.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And it's different. I mean, it's
going to be different.
So I have people that come in, they try the 4 grain that I went on the show with, right? So it's corn, malted barley, malted triticale, malted rye. It's clear. And they try it and they just look at me like the best bourbon people. They just look at me and I'm like, I know, like
it's not bourbon.
It's not brown.
Well,
that's the problem. It's not brown, but the flavor on it, they're just like, what is it? I'm like, it's not brown. I'm sorry, but it doesn't have to be brown. You know what I mean? So I think the biggest thing for me is with anybody is, open up your mind. Don't just be like this snob that says, well, I only want Basil Hayden single barrel, whatever.
This run,
Open your mind up, and it's all about, do you like the flavor, right? You shouldn't have to get used to it. When you try it, you should like it. If you don't like it, it's not for you. Pretty simple.
And there are enough brands out there where you can find something that you like.
Absolutely.
There's stuff down here that you can see it just got drank out of the neck, and it hasn't gone much further.
Right.
And we do the show and the podcast, and we try a bunch of different stuff all the time. But what I tell people is look at what we're really mowing through, or what's over there in the trunk. That's the stuff that we keep on hand all the time. Exactly. It's a little bit easier for me because you guys are right down the road. So when I want something from you, I can just go grab it. Usually.
Yeah.
Unless, like you said, you run a little low on a couple runs of stuff.
Yep.
But like I said, you'll have to, let me know if you want me to run the hammer drill and mix up some mash and stuff like that and come out and
this week has been crazy. Like, because I got a couple going, and I mean, obviously I have the funeral home, so we've been busy, and I'm trying to balance both. And but this week we've been rocking and rolling inside. I've got like 1,000 gallons like fermenting and just trying to get that down. So it's been a busy week.
Yeah. So we could talk a little hunting. I mean, for the 2023 season, that was another, like I said, I had a few questions come in, and the messages and stuff we have leading up to shows, when we tease episodes, stuff like that. So how'd your 2023 season go this year?
It was rough, man.
Rough.
It was rough.
Well, sorry, we should have screened this question before.
Yeah, no, it was rough. I mean, Jacob, so my middle son sent me a text. I was out fishing, I think in Montana, and he sent me a video of a monster buck, but so much foliage you couldn't take a shot. That was during archery. And it's funny, man. It was a weird year. Like last year was weird. This year was even weird.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've got some nice bucks we've been watching, and they disappeared.
Yeah.
But they're back on camera afterwards, so at least we know they're still there.
Right.
We didn't lose them, but
well, like Nate likes to say, you need to get like a serial killer board. That's that big whiteboard when you walk down in here, where we track certain deer, like year to year to year with stuff, and that's how I've killed most of the bucks down here.
Right.
The last few of them have been on that kind of historical pattern route.
Right.
Because other than that, like you said, some of these deer will shift right off a property, and then all of a sudden, like you said, boom, show back up end of December or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is, really cool to see.
Right.
But it's also like, where they go?
Where have they been?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my thing.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, I think where we're at, if you're not able to get something within that first 3 weeks of bow, gun season doesn't mean anything to me because they're gone.
Right.
You probably get a doe. If you're lucky, maybe you'll get that buck to come back in. But during that first 3 weeks, and they're active, that's the time.
Right.
So
and it's all, I say this too with people working consulting and stuff like that. It's all how you set your property up and what your property has, not just how you set it up, but looking at that and saying and understanding that too, that I got to make it happen in this first couple weeks on this piece. Or maybe you're on the flip side of that. Maybe your Halloween rolls around till the second week of November and my piece is off the hook for this piece. You got to kind of understand how your pieces lay out in that whole neighborhood scheme, going with it. So
absolutely.
And there's some I've killed early here, there's some I've killed late, some I've killed in rut. I mean, they're all kind of all over the place.
Right.
So but a lot of that, and the reason the whole 1 year rule, because a lot of people ask me about that, so I try to explain it. The whole reason that 1 year rule came about is my grandmother's piece. I never put a lot of effort into it.
Right.
Just it was put a couple cameras out there, but I was like, man, it's like the 15th of November over there.
Right.
I always got good bucks on camera.
Right.
And then I start looking back at pictures, and I have thousands and thousands of trail cam pictures from well over a decade now of doing cameras, and I'm thumbing through stuff, and it's like, oh, like this woodlot gets hot at this time.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, this buck comes back in this. I'm not saying past the same camera. Sometimes it does, but saying southeast corner of this property, that deer comes back in versus this 1 to 2 day window every year. And it's like,
so
their internal clock, the way that works is insane to me.
But where do they go? So like we've got
that camera's only looking at this, and your tree stand's only looking at that. That's a big part of it too, I think.
But yeah, it's crazy. I'm like, where the freak they go?
Well,
we had this monster, like all of a sudden he just disappeared. So it's fine. Look, we'll let them pass. And it's different. Like, so the hunting club I belong to, if it has antlers, it's down. And I'm like, but if you let them go, they're going to grow, right? That's what we all say. And they're like, yeah, no, down here, if it's got freaking horns, man, shoot it. Because it's going to walk another half a mile. Somebody else is going to shoot it. So you got to take it. I'm like, So it's different wherever you're hunting. Like hunting camp is different.
Yeah,
from where we're
neighborhoods are
hunting.
completely
Absolutely
different. Yep.
Yep. So yeah, but
Yep.
no worries.
Yep.
You know, we got meat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We'll survive.
No, it's yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Nate comments in. He's home doing OE duty tonight. He says, "Let's talk about Pete's buck he shot last year. Let's hear the story about Pete's buck from last year."
I think that was Jake's, right, Nate? So Jacob actually shot a great buck last year. I shot one 2 years ago with my crossbow. I had a big old buck, big old guy, probably 240. I mean, he was a big deer. Yeah, he was a big deer. He was old. And then last year, Jacob shot a really nice buck. I think he was a 10, just a stellar animal, you know. So, yeah, we got a couple out there, man. That we're you know, they're still there. So hopefully next year we'll be able to get them.
Yeah, I just did it when we cleaned up the basement. We got a diaper party for me and the guys on Saturday. And then, I don't know, maybe we'll bounce over Smokin Tails. We're starting ours at noon, so.
There you go.
But I was getting everything cleaned up, vacuumed. My sister came over, and Hannah and my mom came over and helped clean up stuff down here.
Yeah.
So I cleaned off the whiteboard, and I'm like, man, I just see it empty, and I'm like, I gotta start putting my dad on it.
Yeah.
So that's my mad scientist side of stuff.
Yeah.
But
so Nate, tell me if it's you got to come back with if it's Jake's or mine, because Jake had a really nice deer last year, man.
This past season?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I think he was this one, like last season.
Gotcha.
We did not harvest anything this year. I mean, I came out, I was crossbow, came out, and 400 yards away, I see this monster. But obviously you're not going to take him.
Right.
But he had the same pattern for the most part through the rut. But he was always too far away from the one tree stand. You just could never get him within shooting distance. But nice deer. So hopefully next year we'll get him.
Yeah, that's where it always you hope that's how the season ends out. Is I hope he makes it through. Hope he makes it through.
Right.
And we had a fair amount of good younger bucks make it through this year. The only one I'm still waiting to see is the one that I ended up hitting with my bow this year. I hit him up through the top of the backstrap.
Right.
So just a quick story with that. Hit him up through the top of the backstrap. Just random, worked out perfect. Ended up being a 1 year rule, even though I wasn't hunting it like that.
Right.
Just because I don't crunch a lot of data from that piece of property, like I said at my grandma's. Went back out 7-8 days later, pulled a couple cameras, sat like a perimeter outside sit, but I could grab a couple cameras. He was up on that, right by that stand where I shot him at.
Right.
The evening before I was pulling stuff at noon, and I'm like, I'm looking at pictures at my mom and dad's. I'm like, I gotta go hunt this deer tonight.
Right.
So I go back in there, I whiff him.
Right.
On the second time out.
Yep.
And then I go, that's it. I'm like, and then I was like, I'm obsessed with this deer. So I hunted him hard.
That's awesome.
And kept trying to go after him, connect with him, kept showing up on camera. Opening day of gun season rolls around. I get a 1 year rule for this 6-year-old that I've been after at the farm, the one that I end up killing this year with the rifle.
Yeah.
Sit open in the morning, 1 year roll, shows right up.
Right.
Makes it happen, done.
Right.
Go back out that Thursday after opening day to pull some cards, get some intel for my dad because he hadn't tagged one. And don't I go out on my grandma's, and that deer's chasing a doe around. And I got to watch him chase this doe around, breed this doe in front of me.
Right.
And I'm sitting there with my pistol and talking to my dad on the phone. I'm like, I'm sitting in the ditch watching the buck that I shot with the bow, breed this doe.
Right.
And you got to be kidding me.
Right.
Like, get over here.
Man.
But, no, so I'm just waiting to see if he made it through. I haven't had a picture of him since December. So, but like you said, I don't know. I'll have to look back at some more historical pictures and start crunching data.
Right.
See if he shifted off last year or how that worked out with him.
Right.
Because it's all different.
Yep.
But
sure is.
Anyway, Jake Clyde comments in.
Jake Clyde.
Try to get to a few comments here. 100% behind that, Pete. Folks that drink makers, etc., hardly have a clue for how much variety there is in the bourbon world. There's tons of it.
Right.
You could have your go-to at the local bar, but there's plenty. And like I tell folks when they come down here, if there's something you want to try to taste or are interested in trying to, and I love doing this to folks. That's why my little glasses have little letters on them. We'll pour them up blind. And you tell me what you like. No influence, no nothing. But no, definitely agree with Jake there. Nate said he wants to hear both stories, both Pete's buck and Jake's buck.
I love it.
And then Bo comments in, did he say crossbow? So Bo's our local crossbow pushback guy.
Right.
So we'll
So honestly, talk about crossbow. So all right, older guys like myself, right? I can shoot archery. I went back this year and had Mike Price tuning my bow, the whole bit. But for me, when the shoulders are bad and you get older, you're young, but when you get up to my age, you're 56, dude, it's hard to pull back a bow. Right. So there's nothing wrong with the crossbow. So for Nate and Bo, when I was out this particular day, I was like, I'm going to do one more call. I did a grunt, I did this like kind of little weird
sequence.
I did like a grunt with a doe bleat, and I did about a 360-degree turn, and when I came back, that buck was coming in hard, and I knew my yardage. I knew right where he was. As soon as he got by the tree, boom, I hit him. He didn't even go 20 yards. So to me, a clean kill is more important than anything, right? If I can't shoot archery, a crossbow is, and I honestly, there's so many guys that have put so much effort into hunting. They're great hunters. Why not let them shoot a crossbow?
If that makes you more effective,
right?
I full, like we just talked about, full disclosure, I hit that deer high, and then I still whiffed that deer. Same buck. And I practice. I shoot a lot. It happens.
It happens.
But if you are more proficient with said weapon, I don't see a problem with it.
I mean, I have guys I fish with that are 75 plus. They can't pull back a bow, but they can shoot a freaking crossbow, and they love to hunt. So for the love of the hunt, why not let them shoot a crossbow? There's nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean?
And we've always said that. And and everybody will say their own 2 cents, where that just opens opportunity for the lazy. Well, of course. The guy would have probably been hunting with a crossbow, even if it wasn't legal for New York.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So some of the argument,
I get it,
is moot point.
It is.
So
but you got to it's really more about the older guys, right? The guys that have hunted for years, that have archery hunted for 50 years. But if they can't pull back, why not give them the opportunity to go out, do what they love, be in the woods, and shoot a crossbow? That's if you got 10, 15 more, if that can give you 10 or 15 more archery seasons to be able to have that implement, exactly.
I am all for that.
Why take it away from them? I mean, those people, that's who you learned from. That's who I learned from, right? So those guys that shot archery, they shot shotgun, whatever it was. Why not allow them to go out and shoot with a freaking crossbow? Because that's who we learned from, right?
Having a couple seasons and make and enjoy it, be able to enjoy it,
and still be able to get out in the woods, and But anyways, so that's kind of how mine went. Jacob, he hit his with the bow.
Same
stand. Big guy came in. 15 yards, boom.
Yep.
You know?
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Nate, if you want to know anything else, let me know.
Yep. Yep. So my wife comments in. She's working overnight at Hobart tonight. It's her on-call week.
Yep.
Happy anniversary, Smokin Tails. Cheers
Thank
to all
you.
of you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you
Yep.
for letting me do this stuff.
Yep.
And I just got to get up a little earlier to do the horses and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff in the morning, which is fine.
It's all good.
Nate says Ben sucks. I'm assuming when he said I whipped on that deer. And
hey,
yeah,
look,
hey man,
even
it
the
happens.
best whip, man.
No, dude, if you hunt long enough, you will whiff, mess up, all the above.
Matthias, my youngest,
Yep.
I know he's not watching, but he had a monster come in, pulled back probably 20 yards, right underneath, whipped it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
he's like, Dad, it was a big, like it haunts you.
Yep.
It haunts you.
Yep.
Right? Because you want to make a clean kill.
Yeah, no,
but when you whiff,
it's like, yeah, when you know you whiff.
Right.
Yeah. So when we were looking around here, when you first came down at the end of the beginning of the night, that buck on the far right, I shot that deer the year before.
Right.
He survived all year.
Right.
Actually, it hit one lung.
Right.
Didn't kill him. Jeez. And when we gutted him out the next year, obviously I killed him.
Right.
22 yards was obviously a little far. I had to shoot him at 8 yards the next year.
Right.
So I shot him at 8 yards that following year. And then we tracked him up. I shot him, ran down the hill, and then he stood at the bottom of the hill from me. Looked, I swear to God, he looked right back up at me in the tree, and I go, I can't believe I did that again. Right. And he coughed, blood came out both sides, took 2 more bounds, fell right over. I was like, okay, whew. We field dress him out. That lung that I had hit the year before was about the size of a softball and all stuck to the inside.
Yeah.
So some of these, even if you make the right shot,
right,
hit a lung, but don't hit both, don't hit diaphragm or whatever, it's amazing how tough they are.
Listen, so Matthias came in at 12, started goose hunting, duck hunting, the whole bit, right? So we all go get the hunter safety. Like I hunted younger, but I didn't have all the credentials that I was supposed to have. Right? Didn't have the support, the whole bit. So I'm coming, like I'm a new hunter. At 56, I'm a new hunter. My first buck, I shot him 308. It was on Thanksgiving Day. And so anyways, I shoot this deer, takes off, we track. No blood, very, very little blood. We're tracking this freaking thing, and then
hands and knees.
So we find it, pops up, runs, lays down. So I call buddy. I go, what do? He goes, just go home, leave it alone. We go back like 5-6 hours later. This freaking deer pops up, goes across the creek, the outlet, swims across, gets to the other side, and can't go anywhere because he has no front legs.
Right.
When I shot him, literally like took out both legs, blew out the front of his chest. The fucker was still alive. How is that even possible?
Oh yeah, no, and I've heard crazy stories from dog trackers, other stuff. Seen it with trail cam pictures, deer with a foot blown off.
Right.
They're
amazing.
It's insane. Like I said, try to take one like that deer did. Take one through the chest.
Right.
So your lung collapses on one side, and you're still running around the next year trying to breed does and stuff.
Right.
And he just ends up coming in 1 year roll, wrong place, wrong time.
Right.
And gets himself hit again. So it's insane with some of them. So I've seen them, other ones with wounds from previous seasons and stuff like that when they dress out. Pete's over here checking his trail cam.
I am, because my trail cam just came up, so I wanted to see what it is. It's a coyote.
Coyote?
Sorry.
No, all good. No, I'd be the same way. That's why I haven't jumped into that cell cam game with it.
Oh, it's
it's another piece, man.
It is. I run them all year long. I don't turn them off. I like to see what's out there. You know what I mean? You can kind of track what's happening, and so
we talk this time of the year. Usually as they start to die out, the batteries die out after that last refresh or whatever.
Yeah.
I start maybe pulling them out, and then doesn't seem like very long I'll be putting them back out for turkey season, for turkey scouting and stuff like that. But different spots, like it's not the same spots I'm looking for whitetail pictures at.
Right.
But
my brother-in-law looking good, brother.
Yeah. But
that's awesome.
All right, let me make sure we're all up to date on the comments. Rachel comments in and says, "Have a great, happy 3rd anniversary, Smokin Tails."
Yeah, appreciate it very much.
Love it. Couple other comments that came in. Andrew Raymond, who actually is kind of revitalizing the town pump down here. I saw him on a Clifton page or something like that. We got talking a little bit. He says, "I need a few good bottles of moonshine."
Come on down, man. We got you.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. If there's not a flavor down there that you can't find one that you like, that's the big thing. Just find something you like. Right. It doesn't matter if it was in a barrel 10 years.
Doesn't matter.
Or
flavor apple pie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Find what you like to drink and drink it how you like to drink it.
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Bo says he just made me feel really depressed, saying 56 years old and can't pull back a crossbow. Yeah, it's different people, dude.
How old are
different
you, Bo?
works. Yeah,
you're gonna find out, man. Yeah. Trust me.
Right.
When you hit 50, you'll be like, "Holy shit! I remember that guy talking about this." You know.
Right. No, my dad's what's my dad this year? 60. I think he turned 65 this year. I'm bad with dates and names of some of that stuff. Other than let's just deer. For whatever reason, my brain clicks with that. I think my dad turned 65 because he was eligible to retire this year. And he runs crossbow. He's run crossbow. Last buck he killed in like the last 10 years was that one he killed the crossbow, last season.
Right.
When we both had that great season last year. Again, killed all those deer. Like 3 out of the 4 of them were on 1 year rolls.
Yeah.
So. But Bo says it's not that far away.
All right, buddy.
And if you can keep pulling that vertical bow,
right,
more power to you with it. Yeah. But if it gets to that point where you can't turn the bow down enough or whatever reason, don't have the endurance, not trying to make excuse for some folks my age that jump into it. But again, opportunity.
Right.
If you're more effective with it. I'm not saying because you still have to shoot that weapon. No matter if it's a bow, crossbow, rifle, muzzleloader, you have to go to the range. You have to put range time in.
You got to put in time.
And
make sure. So for me, like that first buck, right? That thing, like it was an all day affair. Mm-hmm. And I felt horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm like, if I'm going to make a kill, I want it to be clean, quick. Mm-hmm. You want to have a good clean kill. Yep. I mean, that to me, like that first buck almost made me never hunt again. It was so it really hit me hard. Mm-hmm. But when I hit that crossbow, that was my second kill, and it was fine. I mean, it was quick, it was clean, it was almost instant. That's what you want, right? You don't want to just go out and shoot something, hit it in the hind, and then chase it and put it down. You want to make a good, clean kill. I mean, that's just the ethical part. So, but again, younger people, and don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but if you're 30 to 40 and you're able to pull back a bow, but then whatever your job is, whatever your life is, we're all different. If you can't pull back an archery bow, it takes that whole season away from you.
True.
And is that right for a guy that's hunted for 40 years, but now he can't pull back a bow? Is it right to say, well, now you can't hunt crossbow until...
now you get into that whole different, depth of the conversation.
But when younger people, when you get older, all of a sudden you'll find it and you'll be like, holy shit, now I get it. And then all of a sudden you might be a proponent for that.
Right. But like me and Nate say with it, no matter if you're shooting bow, crossbow, like we just went through the whole rhetoric with it.
Right.
You have to know your weapon.
Right.
You have to be proficient with your weapon and realistic with your weapon as well.
Exactly.
Like the
Right.
one when we were talking down through, the one I shot with my pistol.
Yep.
I could have killed him with my rifle, but I was like, I want to kill this deer with my pistol.
Right.
I'd already shot a good buck with my bow. I was being a little picky and being a little choosy, and I had him out there at, I think it was like 72 yards. And it's like, shoot him. And they said, I got my pistol, man. I'm like, I haven't shot that pistol to 72.
Right.
I don't feel comfortable.
Right.
Ended up working out later that night, comes out 37 yards.
Done. Right.
Done.
Yep.
You know,
we had a guy that said he shot a crossbow at 100 yards. I'm like, 100 yards?
It's archery equipment.
But 100 yards
Mhm.
with a crossbow? Like, to me,
we're not shooting paper. We're shooting living animals.
Correct. Like 35 yards, maybe 40 max.
Mhm.
For me, with the crossbow, that's my own personal thing.
Mhm.
I know I'm proficient at that.
Yep.
I'm not going to just take that pop shot and,
Right.
you know. But
it's not worth it.
anyways.
It's not worth it.
We're all different.
Yeah.
A lot of different theories for sure, you know.
Yeah. No.
So
different situations, different scenarios.
Yep.
Thousands of different hunters in New York, tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Bo says I'll lower it down to 40 if I have to. Hey, I mean, if you want to keep grinding, man,
right,
you got to keep grinding with it.
Right.
Everyone wants to make a good, clean kill. If it doesn't matter the weapon that you're using, sometimes been hunting deer long enough and you're not going to go away with that if you want. Yeah, I think whatever can keep you in that woods longer.
Exactly.
I'm 100%, I think, in support of that.
So, so my brother-in-law here, he's from South Carolina. Been bow hunting for 37 years, and it hurts every time I pull it back.
Yep.
So I go fishing with a guy who is probably about, and if he's watching, God, forgive me. I'm going to say he's about 78.
Yep.
He can't see. He's blind.
Gets the distance, yeah.
No, like literally he's almost blind.
Like legally, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But he went out this year and he hunted and he was able to harvest the deer and sent out a picture. And I'm like, to me, that's awesome, right?
Oh, yeah.
78-year-old can't see, but yet he's still able to make a good, clean kill. And,
Yeah, and like you said, and people aren't, sitting with us in the stand or hearing or seeing that. He might have had 10 deer walk in front of him at 40 yards, and he goes, it's not there for me anymore. First deer walks by at 20 yards.
Right.
That's the deer.
Yep.
And that's, you gotta respect that.
You have to
absolutely
use whatever you're able to use. If you can't pull an archery, then you wait, you go crossbow, you go gun, whatever it is.
Right.
But, at the end of the day, right, I think we all agree, all hunters make a good, clean kill and be done.
Right.
To the best of your ability.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Nate says,
and then go home and drink bourbon.
Yeah. Or whatever you're enjoying. Or whatever. Beers at the deer shed, whatever.
Yep.
Nate says time and labor equals success. 100%. Like I said, we've always been proponents of that. Whatever you're shooting weapon wise, we have our annual, go to the range and check stuff, but we've put, growing up hunting, me and Nate have gone through thousands and thousands of rounds at the range.
Right.
With different stuff or just, squirrel shooting in the off season or whatever. Sure. And then you check that weapon, obviously before season. We obviously harvest our does during season too. Sure. So we're also shooting other game. So just knowing your weapon rather than just pulling it out of the box and saying, it's good to go.
Right.
You got to shoot it. You still have to shoot it. Doesn't matter.
Yep. Agreed.
And Nate said, good for you, Pete. Don't know what part of that story Nate said that on, but good on you. Whether it was a drinking bourbon or beer or, shooting your weapon.
It's all good.
But yeah.
I was kind of hoping you'd be here tonight, Nate, but
baby.
I get it, man.
Yeah. Always got it. Comment came in from my wife, says she wants to hear about this cool new bottle release. Said she missed the beginning of the episode, but would like you to kind of talk about it a little bit more again.
The red bourbon, the bootlegger.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So with the bootlegger, what we did was, so I had a red bourbon down in South Carolina, And like your mind thinks one thing, and when you try it, it's totally different. And so I've been chasing the red corn for a while. Finally got some. My maltster came up. He called me. He's like, "Hey, I got some red corn." So, it's something I've been chasing for a while. Like out of all of them, this is one I really, really wanted to do.
To make a batch of.
Yeah, the red. So our next one that I'm kind of working on will be an ancient grain. I'm literally thinking about a 6 malted ancient grain.
6 different grains.
6 different grains, all malted, all ancient. Yeah.
You might have heard it here first, folks.
Yeah. No, you're definitely hearing it here first. So it's in the process. And I had talked to John about it, actually. And I said, I want to do a 6 malted grain because it just doesn't get done. And, again, we have to figure out the percentages and, you have
Work
to know
on the
your
mash,
grains. What's like, what are you trying to accomplish with it? But we have 6 ancient grains. When we say ancient, you're talking 1700s. I mean, they're things they're grains that the Egyptians used, right? So, I mean, they're way, way back. And we already have, I think, the lineup, and it's just a matter of get them malted and run it and see what we got. So,
and trying to, like you said, find that next piece of that portfolio.
Absolutely.
To broaden that spectrum.
Yes. Yep. So I had told you before we went on air, I think, is that we literally are the largest flavored moonshine distiller in New York State. I have over 54 approved labels. So I've made, in 3 years, I've done over 54 different
types of products.
Yeah, whether it's bourbon, flavored moonshine, rye, whatever. But we have over 54 that I've done, which is insane.
It's a lot of product.
That's insane.
Yeah, we talk about a portfolio. I got like a half dozen down here.
Right.
Out of 50 some.
I have a problem. It's like, what's next? What's next?
Right. What's the next?
What's next?
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we I say we, but I actually was on TikTok of all things, and I have a rice whiskey coming.
Nice.
So that's from
Japan?
No, JT Mellick out of Louisiana.
Okay.
They have their own patties, crawfish, ponds, everything.
Wow.
Bottle coming up.
Nice.
A single barrel one
of
their product is coming up here. Should have in the next couple of weeks. We'll be doing that on the show and talking about that. Cool. But I was like, rice whiskey?
Right.
Sake, or I think they refer to it.
Big, man.
Yep. So I got no clue. I was actually talking to John about it, and he's like, I've never even heard of the distillery. Like, it's a small craft Louisiana distillery.
Right.
Found them randomly on TikTok, talked to them.
Yeah.
Sending me bottle product, and they're like, hey, we want you to talk about it. I'm like,
right.
All right.
Right. So we, honestly, like, a lot of the Japanese whiskey is really good. They're doing a great job. And I mean, I've had some stuff that is absolutely phenomenal. You know what I mean? So, it's fun, man.
But it's it's like you said, pour out a handful, not even a handful, but like, we're having pours because we're trying the red corn, stuff like that. But like when John came down here, he's been down here before.
John, you know who you are if you're watching.
John knows.
We're not gonna call you out.
Yeah. So he's got dart night tonight.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday. I keep trying to have him on the show. He's like, man, Wednesday's dart night, man.
I know. Gotta play darts, man.
So
his palate is
John's.
It's amazing.
So he's picking through this stuff. He's just looking around. He's like, what's that? I said, well, that's Idaho bourbon that came from Idaho. Oh, I want to try that.
Right.
And I want to try some of that. And like we're saying, you pour out a couple of these. I'm not saying pour out a shot of them.
Right.
If you're tasting through them, you just need a splash in a glass. If you're trying to taste a few of these different products.
Yep.
And try to figure out if you like and it's not even like I like this, I don't like that. It's I like this more,
Right.
you know.
Yep.
And have somebody pour it for you. If you can have somebody pour it for you blind,
Right.
you know, and really kind of, instead of having any predisposition.
Right.
Because, of course, somebody says, hey, I got pappies over here, or I got whatever.
Right. Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you get a little bit of that mental stuff going
Sure.
with it sometimes. But
so I had a 35. So we were in Puerto Rico back in February of last year, and they had a 35-year-old barreled rum. I was like, I want to know about that.
right.
So I had a drink, which made me create the cigar fashion, which only we have. I made my own syrup, the whole bit. But so I bought a bottle, and I never spend that much money. Like, it was ridiculous, but I bought it. It's horrible. 35 years in a barrel, and it is not good. It is not good.
And yeah, and you can totally over oak, you can over. It depends on your palate, and like we were talking, like a company could have, you know, a barrel that's 13 years old that just gets dumped into a general batch release of that product because it's just not the profile they're looking for that type of aged product.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
If you go to any of these, Kentucky specifically, I've never been to anything like MGP in Indiana or anything like that. But if you go to like Turkey or Buffalo Trace or whatever, it's tens of thousands of barrels.
Absolutely.
And there's 200, 100 to 200, we'll just call it bottles a barrel of whiskey.
Right.
And they got thousands of them in warehouses.
Right. Right. Yeah. And they're just sitting on it. And, you know, so I got all these people like sending me messages right now. So I'm like, what the hell? So when we did our pre-prohibition, it was a mash bill that was given to me years ago. I had no idea what I was given. No, I didn't have a clue. I was like, yeah, all right, thanks, buddy. Put it away.
Yep.
So I'm not a competition guy. I don't go into all the spirit competitions and all that. But
you got to provide them an insane amount of product for those spirit competitions.
3 bottles. It's not bad.
Oh, that's it.
3 bottles.
I've heard cases.
No,
for some of them.
3 bottles.
Yeah. Okay.
So I put the pre-pro in without anybody else. Like, none of our partners knew. I put it in, and we took a bronze, which to me was like a triple gold, right? Because it went up against all bourbons that were aged 10 years and younger. Right. And that
for that category,
for that category of bourbon. And I said, how, to be blunt, how pissed off do you think those distilleries would be to know that they've had their product for 10 years and mine was 32 days and I took a bronze. Right. It's different, man. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't have to be barrel aged for 12 years or 15 years. What it's about is,
do you like the product?
Do you like the flavor? Do you like what it's producing? That's all it is. So, you know, small distilleries like myself, I mean, yeah, our prices might be a little bit higher at times than people think. But like I said, I've got this one, the heirloom rye. I've got 24 hours just in like the mash. That isn't even the still run. That's just the mash. That's cooking it and separating it.
Right. And again, small craft distillery, there's no bulk discount. You don't get a discount for ordering a tractor trailer truck. You're buying it by the 50-pound sack.
And we don't have that. You know what I mean? So, small distilleries, I mean, honestly, like, and it's not just me, but there's a lot of great distilleries out, small guys that are just, they're breaking their chops and making great product. You know, it's not that commercial, because when you go big, you lose quality, because what do they have to worry about? They have to worry about
it's
quantity.
A batch product.
You know, we got to make money. We got to turn it over. So as a small guy that doesn't care, they really care about what does my product taste like, and are people gonna like?
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
So, anyways.
Yep. Is it the normal profile that you're expecting from
Right.
Jack Daniels, turkey,
Right.
whatever?
Right.
That's what they're shooting for, and they're dumping, like, they use the word small batch if they do. I mean, not any of those distillers we just said necessarily do or whatever, but small batch. There's no legal definition of small batch.
No, 100. I think it's.
There's no legal definition.
No, there is.
Oh, is there?
There is. So, like for us, we're a farm distiller, and I think we can do 75,000 gallons a year. That's a small batch.
Gotcha.
Anything over that, now you're not a small batch.
It's just a general batch product.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So
see, again, I'm a whiskey drinker, not a whiskey maker.
Right. So, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
Like when you start distilling, you start understanding, and you say to yourself, this is all marketing. You know what I mean? It makes no sense. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, good.
All right. We're about hour 5. We shoot for about hour-long episodes.
We're good.
Last 2 questions. Future plans for releases. We've touched on a couple of them. Maybe the 6 grain is teased.
The 6 malted. Yeah, man. Ancient. Yep. The 6 ancient
grains.
Yeah.
All right. And then
which nobody does.
Right. I mean, 4 is all you hear.
Right. 6. So a 6 malted grain is more like you'll see like Scotland. They're doing that, but over here,
using some of the
nobody does the 6 ancient grains
grains you might not even like have heard of.
Exactly. We got some crazy stuff coming in.
Very cool.
Yep.
And then the other question that I had from a local store that we frequent a lot, K&M, was distribution going forward.
Sure.
So if you want to explain how that works, kind of with how your license is set up with the state and how that works.
So for us, distribution, we can self-distribute. We don't have to have a distributor to do that. So our business model so far has been, we don't want to go outside of the distillery. We want people to come. We want them to experience it. We want to be able to explain it.
Atmosphere. Yep.
If you walk into a liquor store, and I'm totally open for anybody that can help me understand this better, but when you go in the liquor store and you look at a moonshine, right? Moonshine, bourbon, whatever, there's like hundreds and hundreds of choices. Mm-hmm. What are you going to buy?
Right.
Are you buying, you're buying a label.
Are you buying your go-to, or are you buying what somebody said to you?
Know it. Right. But if you don't know it, you're just going to go in. If I'm blind and I'm just like, I don't know, I'm going to go in and buy something for my brother.
Yep.
You're just going to buy a label. What looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, our model has been, we want people to come in. We want them to experience it, understand it, why it's different.
Find one they like.
Exactly.
Yep.
So we go to the local, just our guys in Clifton, Cork and Bottle, because they're local. So that way the people that are local can go there. I've had a lot of liquor stores that want to do it, but we've just kind of held back.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
So
no, that's fair.
Not that we're not open to it,
but
if we're gonna do it, we want them to understand like our process and what our belief is.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. So
yeah,
we'll leave this with one final comment. And I'm just going to highlight my wife on this comment. It says, Phelps giving Gatlinburg a run for their money. This is the place to be.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah. No, we're going to, I'm going to do one little pour. We'll do a cheers.
Yeah, you got it.
On the send off. And thank everybody for tuning in tonight.
Yeah.
We are now on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the major podcast networks too with this. You can watch all these episodes on YouTube. After the fact as well, but last little blurb for folks to find Smokin Tails for you guys.
Smokin Tails, yeah. We're at 3 Church Street in Phelps, and
one of 2 lights?
Yeah, come on, see. We're 2 lights, and we're there. So it's amazing how many people come out.
Absolutely, and you guys, it's Facebook, crazy. All that good stuff.
We got everything: Facebook, Instagram. So
awesome. Yeah, check them out, and definitely, if there's any left, when you're listening to this
Right.
episode.
Right.
I'm hoping there is. Try some of this red corn and any of the other great spirits they have to
Yeah.
offer down there at Smokin Tails. So
Yeah.
thank you everyone for tuning in. Thanks Pete, for
everybody.
stopping by.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And we'll catch you all next time down here, 100
See
Proof
y'all.
Whitetails. See ya.